Jerry Nard.
What's going on, my people? Welcome to the Sn95 Power channel. So just real quick before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, I'm just pressure bleeding the brake system. I had like a real soft pedal, and I've been typically use like a vacuum bleed, and you know, I've had success with it, but this time around, for whatever reason, I just really wasn't getting the air out the system. So I'm using this pressure bleeder and it's working great. I just got one more wheel to do. I got to go to the other side, bleed that out, and then we'll talk about these shims and the K-member spacer. All right, so let's get down to it. Big shout out to my man, John Coates, who has been helping me along in this process. And he checked out my last video where I was talking about the oil filter hitting the sway bar. And he told me like, hey man, like you're going to be good on that clearance. Cause he was like, you know, with the suspension being unloaded like that and hanging, that's like the max amount of travel that sway bar is going to go. And if you have clearance now, when you put the load on the suspension, the sway bar is going to go down. Sure enough, where I have the car right now, it's on some wooden blocks, but I have the load on the suspension and there's like plenty of clearance for that sway bar. All right, so let's talk about this. You know, I had to put some gloves on because, you know, if you're a person of color, you know, your people will talk about you for having ashy hands. And so I had those biblical ashy hands going on, and I don't want my people roasting me out here on this camera. So, yeah, so this is the motor mount shims. And this is a 3/8 inch plate. And they kind of give you instructions on how this goes. It's quite simple. So the cutout for the little nipple, the cutout right here is basically for the stud on the motor mount. Not a problem. These are just some lift points for the Coyote motor. And this is the K-member spacer, 3/8. Actually, somebody machining is off because one of them, both of these claim to be 3/8, but you know, there's a big difference between these two pieces as far as claiming to be 3/8. So these are, quote, the weight-saving version of the K-member spacers. So the first thing that we got to do is get the car back up in the air, and I think I'll put the motor mount spacers on first and see what kind of clearance I have. I really don't want to do the K-member spacer, but I think that's something I'm gonna have to do because I think adding this is going to push the motor up some. I'm hoping that even though the motor gets pushed up some, by it sitting off the K-member, the nose of the motor is going to go down. So let's try that first, but I gotta get the car in the air. I've got to get the engine hoist over here, and then we'll loosen up the motor mounts and see what kind of clearance we can get. All right, so I got the spacer on, and it gave me, probably can't see that. but I have like a finger's worth of clearance. I can get my finger in between the oil pan and the K member. So I solved one problem, got another one. My reservoir tank, the hose that was connected to that, is too short now because I essentially lifted the motor. Not a major problem, but it's just something I gotta get fixed. And I don't think this hood is going to close now. I'm gonna need the spacers, K-member spacers. Cause yeah, I don't think this hood is gonna close. It's sitting too tall now. Sketchy ideas for 400, Alex. So here's my thought. I've got the big jacks underneath the K-member. I'm going to use the unijack to lift up on the frame. I'm going to unbolt one side at a time. So I'm gonna unbolt this side of the K-member first, lift it up, see how far I can get it up. And if that works, I'll try to do the same on the other side. All right, Bryce, I need you to be the cameraman, okay? So hold the camera, say hi to America.
Hi, America.
All right, so hold this. And so what I did is I added the spacers, and like this part of the engine is a lot lower now, which I like. So you can kind of see it like a little teeter-totter a little bit right there. I didn't have all the bolts that I needed. So, supposed to be 2 of these, and I don't like these washers that came with this kit, so I need to run and get some more washers, and I need another one of these bolts. But so far, this is working out pretty good. I think it's going to give us the drop that we need. So let's run to the hardware store, get what we need, and then we'll come back. Look at this. Won't he do it? Won't he will? All right, so this is one thing that I really am taking serious this year, and that's ride quality. Now, I have a coilover kit, and it's really a cheaper coilover kit. It's a strange kit. You know, it's a basic kit that, you know, gives you the sleeve, the spring, and the perch. Decent for what it was, but I wasn't able to get the ride quality that I wanted, so I decided to get a high quality kit. Now, the word quality is relative, but I went with a Ride Tech kit, and just by how this thing is constructed, I can tell it's way better than like the UPR or the Strange kit. So just by feel of the kit, you know, you can tell the quality of the material is thicker. It's built sturdier. It's just little things about this kit that I love. The strut nut is going to be recessed down underneath the camber plate. The thickness of the camber plate is real high quality, and the plate that goes underneath is probably the thickest one that I've, you know, really laid my hands on. I have a Maximum Motorsport kit. That plate that's underneath is not as thick as this one, and the little cheap SR Performance plate isn't as thick as this one. So I'm going to scuff this because, you know, I'm going with the red and black engine bay theme. I'm going to scuff this up. I'm going to rattle can it like a gloss black and see how this turns out. Installing this is just like any other coilover kit. I can't say adjusting the ride height is a lot smoother than my Strange one, even though I've used anti-seize. Even when I first made the adjustments, this Ride Tech adjustability is a lot better. Man, there she is on the ground. Unfortunately, she's got to go right back up because we've got things like these axles that's got to go in. I have to, what do you call that? Put some a heat barrier around the header, because my coolant line and my brake line is pretty much almost right on top of the header. But got the new strut assembly in, and I gotta say, like, looks way better with that little recessed nut instead of that nut protruding all the way up. Yeah, really cleaned up the engine bay. A little small little detail like that. I don't know if y'all can tell, but normally that's black, that wiper cover. I spray painted it red. Shout out to my man Greg at Gears Auto Works. Gave me that idea. Shout out to my man John Coates. I checked out his page. He, his old Cobra, same thing. He painted that to match the firewall. I was going to paint the radiator cover red, but ran out of paint. So that's going to be black. But yeah, that's pretty much it for everything in the engine. Well, AC lines. Like, I got to take care of those AC lines. But yeah, little stuff. I got to clean up some of these hoses and stuff. Damn it, I'm still missing that bell housing bolt. Y'all remind me. Put the dang freaking bell housing bolt back in. It's one bell housing bolt that I'm missing. And it's right up this upper driver's side bell housing bolt. I got to fix that. You know, now it's just kind of going over, make sure I don't have like a power steering leak anymore. I got to make sure the transmission fluid is stopped overflowing, because I did overfill it. And gosh, the rod height. So I think this side is like 26 and I think this side is 26 and 7/16, and this side is a little bit over 27 inches. So got to kind of bring that down a little bit more. Like, I think that's cool right there. I don't think, you know, I have the rear up, so it's kind of a little deceiving on, it's kind of like tilted. But I think this might be the ride height right there. And I'm gonna have to lower the rear. I still got a little bit of adjustability left with the seat of the lower control arm. When I was kind of going over everything, it's looking, make sure I had all my clamps and stuff underneath. I looked at that lower control arm and I still had some adjustment on that. The one thing about this Ride Tech system, it's, this is just a caster plate, or is it the other way around? I don't remember. But one of the adjustments is through the bolt that's on the steering knuckle. And if you have too much caster or camber, I don't remember. But if it's in too much, then it's going to hit the power steering, not the power steering, the sway bar bracket. So got to get that taken care of. Yeah, once I get the header armor, get that on the muffler, and start working on the bumper. You know, this is not a show car. I don't want y'all to sit here and think that I'm building the show car, because I'm really not, because I really just want to get out and enjoy this thing. I don't really care about like trophies or anything like that. I do care about feedback. So I care about from the people, my people, as far as, you know, what they think, and, you know, inspiring, and not caring about, you know, accolades from, you know, car shows, nothing like that. I do want to go to car shows and show this car off. I do want to go to the track and show this car off, but as far as winning anything, that's just not what I'm about, man. Like, it's nice to get recognition, but you know, I'd rather get recognition from the actual enthusiasts than, you know, the trophy chasers, because, you know, the trophy chasers will nitpick this car over. And, you know, if you really care about any of their feedback, you know, they'll have you spending $100,000 trying to get your car nice, and they'll still nitpick it. So, man, just build your stuff the way you want it, rock with it, and enjoy it. I think for me, that's what it's all about. And, you know, for this channel, that's kind of what I try to push on y'all. Like, this is all garage build stuff. Like, my nephew came over and helped me with the transmission. But besides that, y'all know, like, I pretty much did all this myself. And, you know, it's not that I'm against help. It's just, you know, my vision for the channel is always to try to inspire people to do stuff that they think they can't do. Because if I come and do this by myself with no help, then I'm pretty sure 90% of y'all out there can do the same thing, or at least do some smaller things that you might be intimidated by, and just, you know, you won't know until you try. As that's how I always feel about it. And my backup plan has always been, if I break it and I can't fix it, then yeah, I gotta take it to somebody. But I'm gonna try to do it first and, you know, see what my capabilities are. So, hey, enough about that rant, but I do hope I inspire y'all out there. But yeah, give me some feedback on what y'all think on this. Hey, I know how Andrew felt when he kind of stepped back and saw that he had the GT500 motor in his 03 Cobra. Like, I kind of had that moment the other day after I put the wiper panel on, and I just kind of like stepped back and like, dang, bro, you got a Coyote swap with a freaking GT500 Predator supercharger in this car, and it looks kind of nice. Like, I have to say, I mean, let me just say that again. I don't try to build show cars, but, you know, this looks way better. This engine bay looks way better than the small block Ford setup I had. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but just this footprint, how everything is kind of just nice and compact, and, you know, the flow of it, I think it looks nice. So tell me what y'all think about it. But yeah, I didn't make it to Mustang week. I was sick. I thought I was about to leave this earth. That's how sick I was. But gosh, yeah, you know, Iowa, Mustang Unstable, Detroit, Holly, Ford Fest, and Street Whips. Also, Chi-Town Show and Go. We'll go over that schedule on another video, but yeah, it just feels good to have this car touch the ground. It's still a lot of stuff that I have to do, but, you know, it's little small stuff that kind of gives you a little boost of morale to keep going. So, hey, do me a solid, tell a couple of people about the channel, and until next time, God bless.